Is there a connection between telepathy, prayer, and channeling? This is T with Ascending Vibrations. So let's talk about it. So, according to Tesla, he said something along the lines of, if you want to know the secrets in the universe, think of energy, vibration, and frequency. To me, the human body in itself is an electric magnetic communication device. So when we're having a thought, this thought is actually on a certain type of frequency, um, like almost like a radio station. We have gamma waves, delta waves, and different types of radio waves that we use. And our thoughts also travel on certain waves and certain frequencies depending on the energy that the thought is giving off. So, our bodies in itself is a vessel in which can increase or decrease the messages we're getting from the world around us. So, how do we increase our signal to get these messages? Um, High vibrational foods, eating well, doing physical exercise, running, yogas, Pilates, qigong, all these things contribute to having a clear energy flow in the body and also getting a better signal when it comes to receiving spiritual and divine messages. Not only that, having good air, good food, good thoughts, emotional thoughts, good emotional health, because what ends up happening when we have blockages, we have emotions in our body that are not being released, they end up becoming blockages in our body and disrupt the flow of energy that's coming and going throughout our body and the aura and our whole being. Certain things can actually increase the signal as well, such as jewelry, copper, crystals. We see now that these things are used throughout technology. They're used in phones, they're used in TVs, they're used in satellite equipment. These are metals that are actually good to conduct electricity. They're also good to increase your signal. So these are some of the ways that we can do that. And some things like copper, you can eat copper. That's actually a supplement. I've been hearing a lot of things about this certain type of gold that you can get to ingest. So these are the things that you can do to increase your signal when it comes to receiving divine messages and increasing the flow of energy through your body so that you can gain more of this information from divine sources. So a lot of this information is a combination of things I've researched, things that I've been speaking with the divine about, divine energies, angels, guides about, in regards to these three things: prayer, channeling, and telepathy, and how they're all connected. This is something that's been pressing on me to like communicate. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just go ahead and get this message together because I feel like the world needs this right now. Certain people are going to hear it and they're going to resonate with it, and if it don't, that's fine. Definitely take what resonates with you and leave anything else. This is not to judge anybody. This is not to condemn anybody. This is just a path that I'm on, and if you resonate with that path that I'm on, then great. If you don't, great. I'm not here for beef. So that being said, um, that being said, when we pray, we are connecting to a certain frequency. Now, that frequency can be seen as a space, an area of space and time, a fabric of space and time. Now, where specifically, you know what I'm saying? It really depends on your vibration. It depends on the destination that this message or these thoughts are going towards. We are basically radio stations. So when you think about that, if we are putting a thought into the atmosphere, it's going somewhere. It's not just stopping here and stuck in one place. It's actually traveling. Now, how far is traveling? It's really variable. It's a variable. Okay. So, like I was saying before, the different sound waves or radio frequency waves, there's delta, gamma, all those different things. There's light waves, okay? So our thoughts are traveling in conjunction to the appropriate fabric of space and time that these thoughts are going. Like wherever it's appropriate for, is traveling along that system. Okay, there's actually some type of system that is out there that actually organizes these certain thoughts and sends it to the proper destination. So whenever people are praying to Allah, or they're praying to Buddha, or they're praying to Jesus, or even God, the creator of all of these entities and beings have a spiritual phone number. They have a certain frequency, a certain like almost like a fingerprint, almost like an identity, that when someone is reaching out to that being, that spiritual being, that they're going to get the message, or they're at least striving for that as a destination. So these beings that I just named, Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, these are considered ascended masters, and their spirit is so grand and so big that they're able to break a piece off of themselves and duplicate themselves in different spaces and times and all of that. The amazing thing is we are the same way. We are fragments of God, and we are pieces of ourselves. We are fragments of ourselves. Just like that movie, where the lady she was Asian, she was fighting and doing all that karate, and her different persons of her one being was in different places at the same time. Yes, that is a real phenomenon. And actually, quantum physics has studied this and has supported this theory. So, here's a good example. Okay, so think about the water, all the water in the world, right? So, there's water in the ocean, there's water through people's faucets, there's water coming from the sky, there's water everywhere, there's water in the air, right? So, water is a spiritual being. This is the actual essence of a living entity, okay? So, when someone is drinking water over here, and then someone's drinking water or washing in the river over there, somewhere in another side of the planet, the spirit of water is conscious in all of those actions. It's aware of all of it because it's little pieces of itself. So just like how flowing and how endless and vast in our minds, water seems very endless, because look, this is just Earth. What about the water in the galaxies far away somewhere? Okay, this is all one spirit of the same entity. So if you look at our spirits, we're the same way. We are pieces of ourselves in various forms, various places, locations in the galaxy. And we are, some people give it a number. They give it a number how many pieces of there are of us. But like from this standpoint, from this earthly standpoint, we can really know, because we can't really know. Because if we think about God, our God is infinite. So if we are a reflection and a shadow of God, it are not our little pieces of us infinite. And think about water. Water alone. There's water here, there's water in water bottles, there's water in the air. Like, look how many fragments of water there is all over our planet alone. So that's one planet. Now think about the cosmos, okay? Okay? So let's just ponder on that for a moment, okay? So just how Jesus and Muhammad can do all these things, that's what Jesus said. You can do what I can do and some, okay? So let's bring it together, okay? And more thing about water too. So this whole theory about the water and it being one spiritual entity, and basically like is all aware of all the interactions that's going on. This has actually been proven by quantum physics. Um, they did a study where they took water, I believe it was water. They took water and they separated with another piece of water, and they did one thing to the water that was separated on one side, but it did not do it to the other water. But then they actually went to that other water to see if, you know, they knew what they did to the other water, and actually knew. So there's some kind of invisible communication, bonding that's going on spiritually on a spiritual realm, that because science is limited in our five senses, because science is like, okay, well, we can't prove it with nothing physical. You don't need nothing physical. Actually, our conscious, our spirits is physical, okay? Just because we're not touching it, don't mean it's not physical. Because we're experiencing it alone, that in itself is a form of physical existence. Even though it may not be in this form, it's on some type of form, it's physical. So when when we are actually praying to these divine beings, we are actually tapping into the frequency that belongs to them, okay? And we are also tuning in to a channel, their channel, okay? So we are taking our energy, we are channeling to that divine entity, and we are tapping in, we're making a connection, and we're receiving messages. Now, this is in terms of, okay, you're building a conversation with a spiritual entity, whether you want to say it's Jesus, whoever you know what I'm saying, communicate with on a spiritual level. It can actually be deceased loved ones, it can be your angels, your guides, your guardians, it can be your star family. Okay, star family referring to high vibrational, and maybe they're all not high vibrational. Let's be honest, because everyone on the planet is not high vibrational. So these are intergalactic beings living on other planets. Okay, we can tap into these beings as well. This is nothing that is something we can't do. Okay, so if we're able to tap into a higher power, such as God the Creator, or Jesus, or you know, Allah, or Buddha, or Krishna, or these are all spiritual entities that have a certain frequency that you're tapping into. And when you're tapping into these beings, you are basically channeling. This is a form of channeling in my eyes, because the channel is like, think of a radio, think of a TV channel. You are connecting the dots and receiving information back from wherever it's coming from back to you. Now, in terms of channeling, whether you are speaking it out loud or you keeping it internal, you're still receiving messages. And so the thing I wanted to break down and bring forth to light is how in our society, our movies, our media, how in our religion, you know, generally, I would say Christianity more specifically, because I really can't speak in depth about other um, religious practices, but channeling is automatically deemed as something where you're channeling a dark entity, okay? So in movies, they portraying, oh, you're channeling, you know what I'm saying? They do a seance, or they do like these dark things that I don't like to partake in or even look or watch. That is not my thing, because it's real. And so the basically, like, they want us to think that channeling is something negative. And when you put a negative connotation on something, when you put fear behind something, what that does to the mind is it prevents you from stepping outside of that boundary of the fear. If you are afraid to do something, you're going to step out the boundary of that fear, whatever it is, okay? So when you're not going to, first of all, if you're afraid of something, you're not even going to educate yourself about it. You're not even going to look into it. You're going to be like, oh, this is scary. You're going to run away from it any shape or form. But to me, channeling is a way that we can connect to other entities outside of ourselves. You know, that's what we do when we pray. We're channeling God. We are creating a channel through God. We are creating a channel to talk to God. We're creating a channel to talk to Krishna. We are creating a channel to talk to we are creating a channel. We are literally the radios. We are literally walking radio stations, okay? Like, we're literally walking, talking, breathing, functioning radio stations. And so if you think about that and you spin it and you think about telepathy, what is telepathy? You are connecting with the mind of another entity, and honestly, mind is like, it's a physical aspect of our spirit. It's a shadow of our spiritual being. Okay, it's just a part of our physical vessel. But if we didn't have our spirit attached to our mind, there would be no communication anyway. So for me, yes, you are connecting to someone's mind, but you're also connected to their spirit. Okay, so for me, it's the same thing with prayer. If I'm tapping to the spirit of God and I'm communicating with God, I'm actually having a conversation through telepathy with God, because God is talking to me back. If I'm speaking to Krishna or Buddha, it's the same thing. So for me, all these things are intertwined into each other, including prayer. And when I mean prayer, because people pray differently, okay? When I mean prayer, I'm not saying, oh God, please give me this, please give me that. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, I'm having a conversation, okay? I'm not just, you know, shooting out messages, shooting out radio signals out into the cosmos. Wow, mind you, those do get picked up. They get picked up, they get seen, they get recorded. You know what I'm saying? But I'm aiming to have a back and forth conversation with the divine entities that I communicate with. Um, so, so that's being said, to me, prayer, channeling, and telepathy all signifies a form of communicating with a spiritual entity, whether it's a human being, okay, whether it's a divine being, or whether it's a dark being, okay? Now, I'm not trying to villainize this, because I think what happens is the entire name channeling gets looked as dark, but it's not the actual act of channeling, it's how it's being used. And I think that is a misconception that our society has about channeling. You know what I'm saying? That there's just automatically, oh, like, and I say that because I was there. I was in a place where, like, the moment I heard somebody channel something, I was like, oh my gosh. But then I started to open up once I healed myself, once I understood the limited belief systems that society put on me, and really I accepted and continue to live through. And when I broke that stuff down, I was like, why am I afraid of this? Why am I actually afraid of this? What I can do is, instead of being afraid of the word channeling, let me discern. Let me see what the messages are saying through these entities. Let me see what they're actually saying. And the sources that I were getting were nothing but divine. Everything, mostly, almost everything that I heard, if not everything, I resonated with, and felt like it was true deep in my DNA. So I will really open your mind and understand the things that are being done to us to limit our our divine potential. Okay? Like, we are literally divine. We are literally capable. If you are able to pray to a spiritual being and get a message back, if you are able to communicate or hear messages from angels, if you are able to think of someone you love, okay, and them call you back, these are all forms of telepathy. So you actually know how to use telepathy. You actually know how to channel. You most likely already pray. And if you don't, you meditate, Or if you don't meditate, you just are, and that's okay. But I just want you to understand how powerful you are. You are very powerful. All the movies they got with beings, superheroes flying and all that stuff they can do with their minds, move things, that's you. They don't want you to know that though. That's why they put it in movies to make it seem like it's make believe, when really, like, this is make believe. This is make believe. And so it reminds me of my childhood and our childhood when we had our dolls and we had our toys and we were talking to our dolls and talking to this and talking to that, and you become a certain age and it's like, oh, that's for kids, that's for babies. Why did it become for babies? Where did that line get drawn? Because that line right there where it's like, okay, this is for babies, this is the line of, you have to follow society's rules or you're going to be looked at like you're crazy. And that line right there is one of the boundaries that place fear around us as an entire world. As an entire world. And granted, it may be different in indigenous communities. They may embrace that continuously. But when it comes to America and my childhood and what I've experienced and what I can maybe assume that other people have experienced as well, is that there's some type of form of limitation between people who are divinely and spiritually connected to the outside world, outside of this physical place we're in. So I want you to just think about these things. Think about all the messages you done got divinely, all the warnings you done got. Don't go here, don't do that, and lo, some accident happened, or this or that happened. When you listen to the channeled message, the that was sent through telepathy, these are gifts that we have had since kids. These are gifts. So think about, how does a mother know that their child's in danger when she's not even near? How? There are angels and guides. Yes, there are more than one way to get a message, right? But there's also telepathy, there's also channeling, and if you're tuned into the right station, you're going to get the messages. You're going to get the messages. Okay? And if your messages aren't blocked, that's another thing we can talk about in another discussion. Your messages can definitely get blocked, they can definitely get intercepted, but it's what you allow in your vessel and around your energy that will block them. I think it's about time for the cat to get out the bag. We're in the age of Aquarius now. All of this hiding who we are, all this, oh, we gotta follow the norm because we're afraid to not fit in. We're afraid that someone's gonna look at us funny. Man, and that, okay? Chop it up, toss it out, because we are spiritual beings first, okay? And if we're living our world through the fear of what can happen to our flesh, that's going to jeopardize the growth our spirit is going to have while we're here. Okay, we're not going to be here forever physically in this physical form. Okay, when this goes, okay, you going to be free. But you came here to learn something. You ain't come here to, well, maybe you did for a little bit, for a time. You came here for a time to conform to what society has told you. And now you're like, hold up. I'm a divine being. Why do I have to follow these rules? Okay? And that's how I feel in my vessel. I felt like for a while I followed the rules, and now I'm seeing that, why did I follow them? Like, look at the state of the world. We following rules placed by people that got the world in this state. And we supposed to keep following these rules because, so just think about it, meditate on it, discern, you know what I'm saying? Take what you feel like resonates, leave what don't. This message is in love and peace and harmony. You know I may tend to ruffle feathers a little bit, but I'm getting used to it at this point. It is what it is. But put in the comments, what do you think about my message? What do you think about this connection? Do you think there is a connection? Do you think I'm just saying a bunch of fluff? You know? But put in the comments. I would love to hear what you got to say. Have a good day. Hope you stay blessed, beautiful, and I hope your day is as radiant as you are.